Let's go, poggers. Speed
Oh,
run.
yeah.
Uh,
Jungle Patting by Skizones and Kazardius. I'm
yes,
so
brain
tired.
fart, poggers,
Fuck.
poggers.
What is a jungle? Basically, all of what's a jungler is just an NPC. No, it's a player, a summoner.
Bro, you can't be making these jokes, man. My brain's already fried. You can't do
I
this to
know
me,
my
man.
brain is fried too. I'm too
Yes,
tired.
jungler is NPC. Yeah, let's just flame it. 20% of the league
No,
community,
I'm just
poggers.
joking. I'm just joking. A jungler, it's a friend of yours. Most of the cases.
Most of the time, yeah.
Most, only most.
Their job is
Uh,
to take jungle camps and help out lanes that are behind or even, and have the benefit of being able to impact any lane. There you go, continue.
Absolutely any lane. It doesn't matter what lane. Okay, let's move on. Here I have on the second slide an info, more like a conversation between me, you, Kazardius, and it's made for the guys who wants to see the PowerPoint maybe in the future, and they didn't came to this coaching session.
Wonderful lesson. Yes.
Yeah, wonderful lesson. And here I explain on shortly how to put the junglers behind and why to put the junglers behind, because they impact the map the most from all of us. So if we put them behind, they will not impact that much the map. So it's simple logic. Okay, let's move
So
on.
yeah, well, I mean, I'll just say the same thing I said last time, and that is that if you manage to put the enemy jungler behind, you're basically sometimes gonna lose your own agency in top lane. Like you're gonna maybe fall slightly behind in your own lane by like messing around with the enemy jungler. But if you successfully put them behind, you're indirectly putting the possibility behind of them impacting any lane, including yours. So you're basically impacting all lanes while just putting the enemy jungler behind.
Yep. How to track the junglers? It's pretty basic. They are falling into two archetypes, into ganking junglers or farming junglers. Ganking junglers, they usually do 3 to 4 camps into a gank. The earliest timing for them to clear into a gank is 2:30. So how do we avoid it? We just drop a word at 2:20, and we just pay attention to the map. But though, keep in mind that they can do like Shaco, full clear on top side, and then gank you again. So they do 3 camps into a gank, most of the cases. The champions are Shaco, Elise, Rek'Sai, Ramus, Voli, Xin, J4, and Trundle.
Yeah, and same thing as last time. Quick note that Jarvan and Sinza in particular are known for their level 2 ganks, so those ganks might come out a little bit sooner. Every other one will always, most of the time, 95% of the cases, do 3 camps before doing a gank.
Yep. Farming junglers. They will do the same route most of the time. So if they start from top side, they will be back on top side at one point. They usually clear most of the camps, if not all of the camps. Their clear, it's finished around 3:15 to 3:30. Some of them even on high elo, like Evelyn, can clear at 3:20. But just keep in mind that they can do the same as ganking junglers. They can do 3 camps into a gank if they see viable. Even sometimes 1 camp into a gank. But this is especially only for Graves if he sees an opportunity of you trading in the Tribush or Udyr. They are repeating the same route most of the time. So again, if they start from top side, at 4:15, they should be back on top side. Most of the cases, 4:15 to 4:25 maximum.
Yep.
the junglers who are known for farming a lot are Cartouche, Nocturne, Shyvana, Zac, Morgana, Graves, and Udyr. Any questions until now? No.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
And we'll mention why they're going to be back on 415 later for the
Yep.
second rotation.
The difference between farming junglers and ganking junglers. The ganking junglers and the farming jungles, they have mostly the same path. But in the same time, the ganking junglers tend to go more into volatile lanes, like melee versus melee on top lane, or ignite versus ignite top lane, mid lane, depending on the lanes, depending on the champions they pick. So let's just imagine it's a Fiora versus Riven, and they have an Elise in the enemy team. She is going to impact her lane only by one kill or just camping down the top lane, depending on her. While the farming jungles tend to path where they have the most prio to take objectives, to secure scuttle for vision, or for a skirmish into enemy jungle. So if your jungler decides to make you the strong side, he just puts you the pressure to help him on the scuttle. Most of the cases, in case of a skirmish, is coming to a river.
Yeah. And I did want to say something. I just kind of forgot it there for a second. A ganking, or not a ganking, a farming jungler will usually also path towards the strong side just in case they do get invaded because of their like weaker early game, so that you can have priority to help them. It's very rough for a farming jungler to do anything when they get invaded and don't have priority in mid lane most of the time, but obviously also in top lane when their top lane camps are being contested.
Yep. Here I have on this slide some camps timers. So Grom spawns with Krog at the same time, so 1:42, 1 minute and 42 seconds. And after you kill them, it spawns after 2 more minutes and 15 seconds. So let's say like on 1:42 it starts the Gromp. After 10 seconds, it it will just count like that with 2.15 seconds in plus. Same as wolves and raptors, they start at 1:30, so their timer will be the same at 2:15 when they respawn after dying. So you have to keep in mind that if you have the enemy jungler who has a Gromp, it would take from that 2:15 another 10 to 20 seconds to kill the Grom, depending on the enemy jungler champion.
Yeah.
At minute 4:15, we know that the full clear jungles tend to start the same where they initially started. So we can keep in mind that 4:15 until he arrives to Gromp, or 4:25 maximum until he arrives to Gromp. After killing Gromp, it's around 10 to 15 seconds to decide what do I do with the wave on top.
Yeah,
Okay.
so around 4:30, you should be careful if you know that they started topside, and to identify whether or not the enemy jungler started topside or not, you would usually have some indicators of either they got a leash, so your laner showed up late, or the bot laner showed up early, and you have to ask yourself, can the jungler start on their own, which is their usually started path. But most of the time, like I would say around 80 to 90% of the time, one of the parties, either bot lane or top lane, will be leashing. So try to take a quick camera look down there. Did the enemy bot lane use mana? Did your laner use mana? Did they show up late, or did yours show up late? And if any of those answers is yes, then you have your answer to where the enemy jungler started. And if they then gank someone that then contradicts that information, you can always then redirect your knowledge to that newly found information. But basically, just take the starting location that you think they started at based on starting mana and whoever showed up late, and apply that as fact for now until anything changes. Sorry, that was a little bit longer than I anticipated, but there you go.
It's fine. After that, we have a tier list for both brackets, like low elo tier list and high elo tier list for invade.
Yeah, so for low elo, we are mainly looking between the brackets of iron and low diamond at max. So anything to like plat 1, we would consider low elo. Obviously, some of these rankings might be incorrect and high platinum and could be swapped around a little bit, but the general idea between iron 4 and platinum 1 should be roughly correct here. And the other one you will have above that, because we have a second slide for higher elo as well, where some of the champions you might see are going to swap positions. But if you're, let's say, in plat 2, plat 1, and you're watching this, then maybe you can like figure out that maybe your champion is somewhere in between one of the two spaces that we've then put your champion in. Do you want to explain what the different tiers mean, or
Yeah,
do you want me to
yeah,
do
I will
it?
still explain it. Weak clear and weak champions means that you can always invade them. Even a Shaco, if you break his boxes on early game, you can easily invade him if you know his position, if he's starting from bot to top. Like usually they start from Raptors, red, Cracks, and they move up to top. Or they move to a gank and then to top. So you can just keep that in mind and remind the past PowerPoint, who I told you at 230 to 240, they should be already at the other buff, like from blue buff to red buff or from red buff to blue buff. So you can easily invade them with no problem. But in the same time, keep an eye out in case Shaco nobody breaks his boxes. In case nobody breaks his boxes, then you should be a little bit afraid because his clear will be a little bit faster.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you still can't invade him at level 3.
Yeah.
Also, a quick note in weak clear, weak champ, most of them, if not all of them, you can invade at any point during their clear. The one exception I would do for that would maybe be Ivern if he just smited a camp and he just leveled up. And maybe invading him is not really the best of ideas. But usually, once he just like, I want to say, infects one of the camps, you can either just start it in front of him if you're strong enough, or just chase him off of it because of the uh, weak early game that Ivern does have.
Weak clear but strong champions means always that if they full clear, they have no chance to full clear. So they usually do 3 camps into a gank. So with these guys, I would go only if I have my jungler on my side. So if my jungle decides to invade with me, I would go for them because these guys can actually punish me. They can do something and maybe my top laner decides to come and help them for no reason. He decides to lose the wave to help them. That puts me kind of behind.
I will mention though
Mhm.
that two champions and weak clear strong champions do most of the time want to full clear, and that would be Wukong and Vi. But their clear is very slow the first time around, so we still had to put them in the weak clear strong champ. But all the other ones usually have very slow full clears. Maybe Kazakh also wants to full clear. But every other one realistically wants to try to gank as soon as possible. Yep, go ahead.
Strong, clear, strong champ means that we don't actually go alone into them because they can kite us, they can slow us, some of them, they can run away, or if they are healthy enough, they can even kill us, depending on the champion we play. So with these guys, we kind of don't want to stick around too much, only if we have some help from mid prio maybe, or from jungle rotating to us. So
Or
only
if
in these
you've
cases,
gotten some information that makes your decision of invading easier. For example, let's say one of them ganked mid at level 3. So they did 3 camp into mid gank, and you see them being like low, they got chunked out. Then maybe they're no longer strong clear because they've gotten like chunked, which they usually wouldn't be. But in normal circumstances, most, if not every single champion in the strong clear, strong champ uh, tier list or in the tier spot is very strong in at level 3 and also at level 4. So be very mindful when invading and know that you might not win unless your champion really has the tools to do so.
a strong clear but weak champ means that their clear it's faster, so their clear it's actually good. But in the same time, we can invade them only because they cannot do something on early game that much to us to affect us so hard. So their clear could be good, but in the same time, they cannot do something against early champions from top lane. So it's kind of a free invade. Only expect them to be on Gromp most of the cases, and you just fuck around with them when they are on Gromp.
Yep. Next one.
Okay, next one. Don't fuck with him. Don't fuck with him means you don't fuck with him.
Didn't you just
Basic
jump over
knowledge.
strong, clear, weak jump? Or
I just explained it.
but did you actually like go into it more of the in the fact that we have a lot of like level 6 junglers in there as well that usually need
Oh
their
yeah.
ultimate to be relevant, or did I just like zone out too much?
Oh, you zone out.
Okay, my bad then, my bad.
Oh, it's fine. So, as we said, don't fuck with him. Why we don't fuck with him? Because they have some abilities in their kit that they can actually kill us. So let's just take, for example, the Darius. His Q with healing, his W with slowing, his passive who's giving us a lot of bleeding. Trundle with his W with movement speed and attack speed, and Q with lifesteal, and slow from pillar. Warwick with extremely hard lifesteal and same as Olaf. Then this sister of Aphelios means Belvet. She mostly
Also,
does three camps into something, but if she goes for a full clear or if she goes for a late clear, then we still don't go with her because her E is getting damage reduction.
just like Warwick's, that's what I wanted to mention. So they can be deceptively tanky while on low HP. So even when you think, oh yeah, Warwick's just on 25% HP, then he still has his E. So when you use all your burst, you might get him to 10%, and then use his Q, and then he's back to 25. And then you already used everything, and then you can't run away. So be very mindful when fighting both Belveth and Warwick of the fact that you need to know your champion's damage and that it can be reduced. So unless you see Belveth, for example, use her E and she's low on her clear, which means she has already done something very incorrect, then you might be able to do something. But in general, just don't mess around with any of these champions. The only champion I would mess around with on that tier would be Yumi because she shouldn't be in there. But we thought it would be funny. And also Talon realistically will just jump away if you invade him, so you're just going to be wasting your time and setting yourself behind as a top laner more than necessary when you try to invade him.
I mean, Yumi could zoomies on you, all the time.
True, true.
Imagine Yumi just jumping into the top laner and killing you.
No, no, Yumi jumps on red buff
Yeah, Yumi jumps on red buff.
and
So
enhances
is this
red
Yumi
how I
buff.
climb? Is this how I climb playing Yumi jungle?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's how you climb.
Okay, I need to try that.
Okay, let's go to the last slide, shall we?
Okay. Last slide. Here we have slightly difference between don't fuck with him, weak clear but strong champion, weak clear, weak champion, and strong clear, strong champion. So we moved from there the Poppy, who is actually a weaker champion on higher elo after you just learn how to play around her. So in case you have a dash, you just remember that, oh, her W is canceling my dash, so I don't use it immediately, or things like that. Where Kha'Zix and Xingzhao are weak, because everybody just knows that they can 3-camp into a gank, or level 2 gank, or just do 2 camps into a gank. Most of the cases where we changed again Wukong, but he is still a strong champion, but weak clear, same as Warwick.
Yeah, and then the Vi placement you can talk about a little bit as well, why she's there, but she shouldn't be there.
Yeah, on Vi we kind of fucked up. We didn't know. I talked with a challenger friend of mine, and he explained me why on this tier list is wrong Vi, because Vi on level 3 she still doesn't have the power to do something, because most of the cases after level 3 she doesn't hit her power spikes, she hits her power spike on level 4. So you can just actually fuck around with her if you want to and if you have time. But keep in mind she does 3 camps, so she would be at 230 there. Maximum on your lane.
And major changes for the don't fuck with them tier. Kindred has been moved up quite a bit, and so has Nidalee as well. Just because they're very high skill champions, and once masters, they can be very obnoxious to deal with. Both, and usually they're the ones invading you, so you gotta be careful about that. And you might be a little bit wondering why we have Gragas in the don't fuck with him tier. And that is because realistically, Gragas has a lot of tools to stall you out for help to arrive. Meaning he can slow you, he can stun you, he has damage reduction. He has a lot of ways to either just escape straight up, so you wasted your time, and also just to stall you, meaning that if you try to run, you might still just get caught and die.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Why
this
is
is kind of
Mordekaiser in there though?
Why Mordekaiser's in the don't fuck with him tier?
Yeah, like over something like a Nocturne.
Well, his
because
in
with
high elo, his clear is very fast and also very healthy once done correctly. And in prolonged fights, his passive is quite difficult to deal with. Granted, I'm pretty sure, did they nerf his passive again recently or no? Because I'm pretty sure they nerfed Mordekaiser rather recently.
they nerfed his clear a little bit, but in the rest it's
Yeah,
fine.
but it still should still not matter too much in both clear speed and healthiness. So we usually wouldn't recommend you invade him unless you really are something really strong.
Yep.
I mean, I
Any
thought it
other?
wouldn't be too bad because like his abilities are very slow, so it's quite easy to dodge in fights, in like early game duels at least. Because he can't
Kazus?
just burn you down with passive alone like later on in the game.
Well, he'll usually have a ghost mixed with it, and then let's say he already has his red buff. A good Mordekaiser will usually auto attack you first and then throw a Q, meaning you'll be slowed from the red buff, and then auto again, and then he already has the passive, and then he'll look to do E. In case he does just throw out EQ straight up, you can probably just hard engage on him, but he still has a rather big shield and is deceptively durable, and it's a lot
He
harder
can
to kite
basically
him.
stall time for the laner, for the enemy laner to just arrive and
Yeah, but he
transformate
is
into
furthest
W.
down for a reason because we do think all of the other ones
Yeah.
are stronger than him. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
good question though. I appreciate it.
Also, like why is Zinzao so low on the list? Like I always thought he was like quite strong, like in his dueling early game.
Xingzhou, he got nerfed so hard that on higher reloads, if you play Xingzhou, most of the cases they will just demolish you because they know exactly from where you start, they expect where you gank, they expect everything with Xingzhao. So
Skizone,
if
can you
they
check
fuck
on
up,
the other tier list where we placed him? Because I'm pretty sure we placed him under either strong champ we clear,
Strong
or
champ.
strong. Yeah. So
Yeah,
in for low elo we have put him under strong, because again, like, yeah, he's still pretty good, but once you know that you can kite him, like when he jumps in with E and he can't get the third Q on you, he's kind of pretty much dead. So if you can kite him as, let's say, Kindred for like those 3 auto attacks, he's pretty much gonna be dead. Meanwhile, in low elo, that's gonna be a lot harder to do.
Yep.
So yeah,
More
thank you
simple,
guys for the
basically.
questions. Do you have any last questions or any further questions? Feel free to place them now. Otherwise, we're gonna probably call it here, right?
Yep.
Or do you have anything else, Skizone?
That's it.
Okay.